Hello, welcome, Karibuni, and thank you once again for joining us on our weekly Great Leadership Live show. Good to have you all. I say good evening. For some areas, it's good morning, depending on which part of the world you're watching us. Remember, our show streams live and addresses serious topics in a light and fun way as we engage in discussions with our guests who are Kenyan entrepreneurs, industry leaders, innovators, and we want to hear the story. Today is an interesting show. I always say each show is interesting, and it is. We look for topics which kind of we can all relate to, something that's tangible, being Kenyan, but not necessarily Kenyan. You can be from any part of the world, and you can still feel that the story we're about to hear is applicable to us. Why is today interesting? This is the first time that in each each video frame, you'll see two people. And these two people are couples. By couples, I mean, formally engaged or recognized couples, depending on which region you're from and what the definition of couple means. And they together own and run a business. We'll hear from them. I'm sure they have a lot to share with us. And even for those who don't run a business with a couple, can already say, okay, now this one, let me pull up my sleeves and focus. Today in studio, I have Paul and Mary Gitari. We've got Jayesh and Trishna Patel. We've got Mark and Agnes Bugenya. And of course, our host, Waweru Njoroge, who's by now, you know him very well. We've got Elijah behind the scenes. And for those watching us on YouTube or Facebook, always send your questions, make comments, and we can bring them up on screen anytime. We value your contribution. At some point, if time allows, we'll have a Q&A session. So just ask anything you want. Our guests are here. They're open to share. And I think through them, we will learn how to go about our business. Please follow us on Twitter and Facebook handles. That's Great Leadership Live, the 8. It's number 8 instead of the word. Or email us on greatleadership@gmail.com. Waweru, niambie.
Have we got any time left after that introduction? No, thank you so much, Martin. And I'd like to say thanks.
I'm saying after this, I just
thanks for joining us. Oh yeah, it's okay. Just it's okay. No, I'd like to say thank you very much to our guests for joining us on Great Leadership Live. This, of course, is episode number 10. We're getting there. We're really enjoying ourselves more and more. And like Martin has said, we've got 6 talking heads, or in other words, 3 couples. So this is going to be an interesting show. We'll see who talks the most and who keeps quiet the most. That will give you a reflection of well, generally how they do business. Maybe not. Let's see what happens. Let's ask them the questions and find out. Right. Usually when we have only 3 guests, it's very easy to say, let's start with the ladies first. But I am going to start with the ladies first. I'm going to split this question into 2 bits. I'm going to ask the ladies, what business is it that you're running? And then the gentlemen, I'm going to ask, how did you settle on this business? So to the ladies, what business is it that you're running? And to the gents, how did you actually settle on this? As in, who came up with the concept? So I'll start with Paul and Mary.
Okay. Hi, Waweru. Such a pleasure to be here. We are running a PR business, and we just help people to be seen, to be heard, and to be known. So our business is called Brandspark PR, and we've been running it since 2010.
Okay. So am I answering now? How we actually got into this business was we were both in, I was in advertising, she was in public relations. And a friend of ours asked her to join their business so that they would have a bit of public relations. I stayed in advertising, but I was a bit unhappy. And then down the road, the association with her friend didn't quite go the way she had planned. So she was coming back into employment, and then a client came and said, no, I want you guys, can you register a company? And so Brandspark was born. And a few weeks after that, I joined after my stint in advertising. So initially it started as an advertising, PR, full service agency. And over the years, we've just moved away from advertising to PR.
We've become
okay, cool.
Very focused.
Jayesh and Krishna, the same question to you. So what business is it you're running and who settled on it?
Hi, Boweru. So we are in business of film distribution. We distribute films across the region to cinemas mainly. We have then recently ventured into our own cinema and also a VOD digital app. And this is evolving based on the interests in the audience. So that's our core business. We love movies and we love watching them. So we sell them also.
How did you start it?
Jayesh, who came up with the concept? How did you settle on what you're doing?
So actually, it's the same story. I was in advertising as well. I used to work for ScanAd as a creative director for Red Sky and JWT. And when Trishna decided to open this company from the dining room, it grew and grew and grew. And I think it came to a point where manpower was needed. So I quit what I was doing to join her. So she's the boss.
Well, as they say, the success behind a man is always a woman. I think it's the other
It's
way
the other
around
way
in our
around in
case,
this, yes.
where my success has been because I've had the support of my men. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, Mark and Agnes, same question to you two.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Aweru, for your question. We run Atmax Designs, and it is a company that offers kids engagement sessions, offers party planning services. We make handmade cards, and we also develop media. We also develop content on media, TV, and print.
Okay. So, I suppose, how did we settle on the concept? It's the classic entrepreneurial tale where you go into the marketplace, you're searching for something, you don't really get what you're searching for. So you decide to build yourself the same thing. So that's what my wife did. She was looking for a handmade card to gift somebody, but really she didn't find something in the market in the nature that she wanted. So she decided to begin creating her own cards, handmade cards. And for a season, that's what we were doing. And I remember I really assisted a lot to settle the concept because she was in uni at that time at UON. And there's a good friend of ours. I used to pick some cards from him, and surprise her. They were handmade. They looked awesome. So she always looked up to that person, and I suppose it was easy for her to settle into making the cards. Over time, because we've been running for 6 years, over time we've transitioned from handmade cards to the core business of kids engagement, really. All content, even the party planning, is only kids, but the parties only kid related.
So it's very focused in other words.
Yeah.
So
Kids people.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Quick question. In fact, something that you mentioned just now about uni, I'd like to start with Jayesh and Krishna. And this is a very obvious question, but I just want to ask, and it's just one answer. What came first, business or love?
Business.
You have to think about it. Oh, really?
Yes.
It's been a long time, so.
It's been a long time.
Right.
Yeah, we met because of our business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I always expect, we met, we fell in love, and then we decided to start this business kind of thing. Okay, cool. In fact, that's what actually, that's okay. That's what I wanted to find out, whether there's actually a reverse of that. Mark and Agnes, what came first, business or love?
Love.
Paul and Mary, which came first, business or love?
I think love. Love came first.
You
then
think?
business followed. Oh.
You think?
I confirm.
I was giving us the opportunity to confirm.
We got married, then we went into business,
Yeah.
and It's just because, for me, the advertising PR sector was completely unfriendly for starting a family. And so that was really the main reason why I had to step back if I was going to start having these 3 children that we have right now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to come back to the aspect of family in a bit later on. I want to find out, and this is obviously from an individual basis. So if you weren't working together as a couple, what would you be doing? I mean, obviously you've brought together strengths and kind of like-mindedness in terms of how you think and what objectives you want to create. But assume then you were not, or you were married but not doing the same business. What vocation would you be in? Maybe what you studied in university or whatever the case may be. But yeah, if you're not together, what would you be doing separately? I'll ask Mark and Agnes that question.
I'll say ladies first.
Oh man, take the lead, but gentlemen before.
Okay. Well, I'm also a professional audio engineer, so I suppose that's what I'll be doing. It's what I do anyway, aside. We also manage that together. We just picked Atmax to be more focused. But I'll be doing audio, definitely.
Okay. I'd probably be a social worker, because that's the degree I took in university. And I'd also pretty much be doing the same thing. I don't think I'd have chosen a different line altogether. Even alone, I'd have still worked with kids in one way or another.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Jayesh and Trishna, I want to ask this question. What are your established operating norms in terms of each other's values, assumptions, strengths, and needs?
I would say, when we got into the business as well, we had a clear direction, what my strengths are. And since, I had thought of the business anyway, because I was in this line for many years prior getting into the business. Our business is only 9 years old. I've been in this industry for over 22 years now. So it automatically came in to the strengths that Jay had that were lacking, which I needed support on. One was obviously manpower and somebody I could trust blindfoldedly. There were technical aspects which Jay has capability on. Marketing and sales and creativity is what he had been working in an environment in. So we had that clear. One thing that we were both weak on was finance, but I guess Jay was weaker more than I was. So we had assumed that we'll try and role play as much as we can until we can afford professional help there. So that's how it was clear direction, and we have flowed with that all through. The only difference is, and maybe the old synergy is that we both love watching movies. So whether we're at home or at work, we kind of have a very similar lifestyle of talking about movies all the time.
Okay.
Being from the advertising background, as you heard everybody saying, advertising is a very bad line. I think everybody comes home at 2:00 and it's crazy. You work overnight, but yeah, bringing that into the business on the graphic designing and marketing aspect of it, I think that really helped grow the Crimson as a business. And I think if I was not doing this, I think I'd still be in advertising, but having opened my own with some other partners. But I think this was the right move. Because as Trishna said, she's been in the business. We opened Crimson when where Trishna was working, the companies went down, so there was a gap. There was a gap that needed to be filled. None of the cinemas opened, and there were no distributors anymore. So that's what we did, and we got all the cinemas up and running again from the closures, and this is how it started.
Fantastic. Something you've just said that triggered a thought. Actually, I was thinking, and I want to ask Paul and Mary this question. How do you then, in terms of balancing your work lives and your love lives, typically, I suppose for all of us, maybe not, well, majority of us who are not working with our significant others, we can come home and we say, oh, I had one of these days, I'd like to hang my boss off the ledge, and, where you can actually then, yeah, but Paul and Mary, how do you then say, okay, fine, you see each other pretty much every day, I'm assuming. If you're going to go to work, you're going to go to work together. So you can't come home and say, my boss is a pain, kind of thing. So how do you then balance work lives and love lives?
Sometimes.
You do.
You do sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. Paul and Mary, are you there? I wanted to ask that question to you, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of balancing, so we've been on and off. We've worked together. Then Paul went back to work during a really harsh economic time, and then and that really helped us to just be stable a bit and then come back. So on those days when he had a boss, at least we'd have those conversations. But in terms of balancing our life and our work and our love life, it's always been, we try and the funny thing is, the more time you spend together, the closer you actually get. So I don't have to come and explain so hard how my day was. He's in advertising strategy and I'm in PR, so there's some level of difference at some point.
Yeah.
So I can't come and tell him I was dealing with this client and it was really hard. And we used to have a date night when the economy was much better. So that used to help us to talk. But at the end of the day, everything gets muddled up. We talk best actually when we're in the car headed to work. That's when we're able to check on each other and say, okay, so what's going on? Or if we decide to walk early in the morning and just talk.
Yeah. So I think there's no way of drawing a clear line. At least we haven't found it yet. What we find is just sometimes you need other things you're doing away from each other. So work together, we are married to each other, we're raising kids together, but then there are other interests that come in. So Mary here is in Toastmasters and a few other groups that she's in, and I play golf. So those are our times to be away from each other and do something we do with other people. But then work life, marriage life, family life usually is just one big circle that then we have to try and continue moving.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Actually, then you've actually asked a question which I'd like to then throw to Mark. In terms of how do you then, do you plan to take time away from each other? Separate yourselves from work and just basically spend some time on your own.
Well, I imagine you don't. You're not silently asking me to be away from my wife.
No.
Mr. Waweru.
And Agnes will answer as well, by the
way. As a follow-up to what Paul and Mary have just said, and in response to your question, Waweru, I'd say we've had a pretty good run. We've defined our relationship around 4 main areas, which is lovers, where we have our intimacy, and friendship, where we can be buddies and have correlating hobbies and so forth. And the other one is projects, life partners, where our business existing. And the other one is husband and wife, where you, of course, know we share different roles. So in terms of taking time off, we just find pockets where we each instantaneously understand that in this particular situation, we are operating under the friendship wall of marriage, which our business exists in. Our business is just a variable of the constant of family and marriage.
Okay.
So it's really not easy, but we find pockets of time following that model.
Okay, cool. Agnes, do you want to add anything to that?
No, nothing. I just want to say it's so natural. I mean, you don't actually have to set time like, now you're going, now I just have to take my leave. I need that 1 week, that day off or something. We just get into that mode naturally. We have sort of come into that with no kids and living together, working together, doing everything together. I mean, you just find yourself apart for a while and then together for most part of the time. But we do spend time with other people when we need to chill, when we just need to learn away from each other. And sometimes we are together even in that learning and enjoying.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not an entanglement.
No. We have no gender wheel thing going on here.
I'm joking.
Authentic marriages.
Something that Agnes just said about asking for leave, and I want to ask Jayesh and Krishna this. So who asks who for leave? And then coming back to that question about how do you balance your work life and your love life? So let's take that, and then we'll try and shift away from entanglement and go to something else.
No, there is nothing like take leave. There is no sick days because your boss has to know. When you're working for somebody else, he doesn't need to know you're sick, but you can take a sick day. Here, it doesn't work. If you wake up in the morning and says you have to go to work, like I don't feel like, but yes, there's no excuses. I don't think we've missed work when we don't have the mood. I think we're in a business where we've never lost interest in the business. I think there's always something different coming up. There's a different movie releasing. Like you see, our work day is such that before the closure, we actually had our job was to watch a movie in the morning, 2 or 3 times a week. So we would wake up in the morning, take our breakfast to cinema, sit there, have our breakfast, us two alone, and watch a movie because we're reviewing the movie. So see now, I don't think you can lose interest in that.
No, can I walk?
I want your job. I really want your job.
And the best thing about it, we would watch movies at least 2 or 3 weeks before anybody else would.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's a private screening, and as I said, if you love your job, I don't think you could take a day off. Once we established the business, I think separating the business and I think that's a golf course, and I'm a gamer. So my PS4 and my gaming laptop is what I take on the side and spend a few hours doing that.
Okay.
When you have stakes high, you're in one business, your livelihood depends on it being successful. So, that's strong motivation enough to wake up every morning and get to work and get things going. I can't say that 100% we've charted it out even today, but we have, a kind of a formula laid where we know it's not a switch on and off either, but we know that this is time for work. Let's be serious. We've been married 14 years now. So you tend to understand your partner also from a silent perspective that this is time for work. Let's get serious and let's get things done. We also don't sit in the same office. We have different responsibilities and they're done from different locations. So that also helps. Whilst we're working together, we still have a little bit of a distance. We have things to talk about at the end of the day when we get back. We both enjoy cooking. So that's our central way of kind of, getting each other's day by and what has happened and what hasn't, and grump and complain and whatnot is the best time that we do it. So, we found our ways. And while we are not together, we also have our own interests. As he said, Dre loves to play games. He also loves to play golf. I love my music. I practice that. It calms my nerves, and I so we both have separate interests. We also have our friends that we keep in touch with. So we have a balanced life, and it keeps us sane.
Okay, cool. Jayesh has just, I think, made all of us very jealous in terms of doing what you love and loving what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to just wake up in the morning and just go watch a movie. Okay, let's bring it back now in terms of
saying that because he's handling the fun part of the business. I have to look after running up and convincing them to keep my loans going and all the repayments. So that's the hard work. That's the part you don't see about our business.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna switch gears. I want to ask this question. I mean, it's a bit more of a serious one, and I think it has relevance to many of our viewers in terms of legal aspects. Obviously, you have a marriage contract, which is binding or whatever the case may be. But do you actually have business contracts between yourselves? I'd like to start with Paul and Mary, actually.
No,
Do you have a business contract? Actually, you said, okay, fine, this is what you don't.
No.
We have a contract with our company that states what jobs we're supposed to do, thanks to our administrator. But no, I don't think we even thought about that. But we're eager to hear what the rest say. Maybe we can copy a template.
Now,
copy and paste.
Mary and Agnes, in terms, again, that legal aspect, do you guys actually have a business contract between yourselves?
Well,
sorry.
It's okay.
Definitely, it will strike me as absurd if I will hear a couple that has a contract. In our case, we have a mutual trust, and the keyword is mutual. It does not need to be underpinned by a document. The only document that we really have is the one that we got for the AG about our wedding verification and legalization. So that gives us the license to be in any business together. And furthermore, we share a covenant relationship together. So she hurts, I hurt. I hurt, she hurts. We rejoice together. We are one body. So that is the only license we require to do business and other aspects of life.
Yep.
Well,
you see now, I'm sure there's many women at home saying, "Can't you be like him?" But anyway, let's go to Jayesh and Krishna. How would you guys have a legal contract in place?
The only legal contract we have is our marriage certificate.
It's actually we don't even have a joint account together.
No, we don't.
No, we're quite independent like that. We've never had a savings account together. There's no contract between them on the business side of it as well.
The fact that the marriage certificate binds us, mind you, the marriage certificate also is issued from our community since the new law by Sharia House of legalization. Yeah. We haven't done that yet. So it's all clear, but I guess it's all about trust. Our culture, in our culture, we believe after going through a 2.5-hour marriage ceremony, you don't want to get over that ever again. So 2.5 hours of actual ceremony, but it's a week long hell of a lot of tiring scenario. So you don't want to go back through all that over again. We're fine together.
Okay, we're gonna take a breather, but I just want to ask this question very quickly to each of our guests. And it actually relates to that aspect because a lot of you, all of you have said that there's no necessarily business contracts that you guys have signed saying this is the dotted line. If the business does this, then I walk away with this and I walk away with this. Okay. But in terms of, each other's triggers, you know what buttons to push or which ones not to push when somebody's upset and things like that. So do you have somebody who then becomes a mediator, a third party who's, independent, might know you guys, but knows you guys well enough to stand in the middle and say, okay, fine, guys, calm down. This is what you need to do and things like that. So very quickly, I'll start with Mark and Agnes, then I'll move to Paul and Mary, then I'll finish with Jayesh and Krishna, and then we'll go into a break and have a look at some videos. So Mark and Agnes, do you have a third party arbitrator?
Of course, you have to have one for when things get hot. So we have an advisory board. We also have a mentor whom we always go to for anything and everything. I have my women squad. He has his men's squad, older men and older women, of course. So not anyone my peer, someone who will be wise enough to offer the right advice. So us guys, we believe that business, your personal life, your family life should all be mashed up into one thing. So those same people are the same ones which are part and parcel of our lives in general. So we consult on matters business, matters health, matters finances, matters parenting, matters marriage, just anything.
Okay. Sorry, Mark, you're going to say?
I was going to say it is good to be under authority. It is not good to be a wild chicken. So in our case, we really depend on the fingerprints and the eyes of other people. How other people see enable us also to see properly. And I'm very much involved in our church community, and my spiritual father is provides a lot of guidance and acts as a mediator in many situations that would otherwise spin out of control. So that's how we manage it. Thank you.
Or do you want us to be?
Thank you. So Paul and Mary, who's your arbitrator? Who's the third party that steps in and says, guys, go to your neutral corners, bus?
Okay, so yeah, we do have quite a number of friends who have worked with us across this business. So they're able to then speak to when we're not agreeing on things or when we make a decision. I like the idea that they have a board. We are on a route of creating a board also for our business that can advise us as we continue to grow. And then this year we currently sit in what I would call an SME growth hub. And so some of the other companies there are able to speak into what we are trying to do and listen to ideas and also be able to then say, how do we, I like these are very good ideas. How do you actualize them? And also just to make us, honest when we say we are going to do an idea in a particular period of time. So they're always pushing us to, have you implemented it? When is it starting? How is it faring? So I think those are the people then we refer to when we need a bit of a big arbitration.
Okay. Sorry. Yes, carry on, Mary.
No, I was just saying I agree. I think being in the collaborative space has really helped us because there's even a lawyer there. So in case of any questions around how do we go around solving or mediating something that has come between us, I feel like now we're in a safer space to be able to share those issues with that space, people in that space.
Jayesh and Krishna, then we'll go to the video. So what is it? Who arbitrates for you guys?
So we have strong family support. My dad is also, post his retirement, he kind of joined the business. He has a strong financial background, so that was quite helpful. A lot of the times when we have professional differences, he's able to step in as a bird's eye view and give his opinion, which, we value a lot. And it's also quite helpful. We also, just like Agnes said, we have our lawyer, we have our auditor, we have a tax advisor, and these are professionals who are in that sort of a realm, so they're able to help us from that professional aspect. It also spills over sometimes personally, when our indifference can be so aggressive that it affects, on an immediate level between us. But that again, that's where family comes in, and touch wood, we've not really had any major differences that, it goes to a complete adverse and not talk to each other or, have that in the difference carry on. We try and resolve it. We're mature enough now. I mean, earlier age, we were working, so it didn't matter. But post business, we adapt to it. But I think it's family and professionals who give us that balance. So we have somebody or the other always we are able to reach out to.
Good stuff.
I use the phrase yes, you're right, and I'm sorry, and yes. So, because look, to be frank,
I'm always right, you mean.
Yeah, so to be frank, is she knows the business more than I do. So
Right.
I usually listen and say, okay, if I've made a mistake, I don't see her making too many mistakes. So as I said, the yes, and I'm sorry, and you're right is the right phrasing to be happy in
It's a
life.
safe way to be.
And in
It's a
business.
safe way to be.
Very, very, very safe.
Okay, I hope all the guys who are watching are taking note of this. Martin, I believe there's some video we need to just have a quick look at.
Yeah. The video we have again today, like last week, surprisingly, is from Lion's Den. Last week we had one of our guests make an attempt to get financing, and this, and again we have the same from Trushna and some other gentlemen. So without talking much about the video, but I think it will lead to another line of questions which I think are very important when it comes to business. But first, before that, let me just play this opening thing, because I mean, I learned today that Jayesh designed this, and it just gives me the goosebumps, makes me feel I'm sitting in the theater. Just listen to this.
Wow.
Very impressive.
We're missing the movies already.
We're dying for them to open. We cannot wait.
Oh, wow.
Here
It's an
goes.
important part of our life, so.
Yeah. So I must say that this again is from Lion's Den, belongs to them. KCB, the owners know themselves, but we're just borrowing a little clip that's strictly related to Trushna and the case. Yeah. So with their permission, we just play a few minutes of this.
Lion's Den, powered by KCB Bank. Entertainment is big business, and so are films. In Africa, with all its talent, the challenge has been on how to monetize the industry while reaching large audiences. Well, sit back, because My Movies Africa believe they have the solution.
I am excited and butterflies in the stomach as well.
We've done 5 years on this project, so today is a lot of preparation. Greetings, Lions. I'm sure you can relate with me. It's Friday night. You've had a long week, hard week at the office, and you're itching to watch a movie at home in comfort. You've slipped into something comfortable. You have your popcorn. You're hanging out alone or with your family and friends, and we're ready for the great night in. So you pick up your device or your streaming app, and you scroll, and you scroll, and you scroll, and you still can't find anything that you want to watch. So, the Lions, I think you can all relate to this dilemma that faces millions of Kenyans every weekend. So if you're in the movie industry and you're into African films, Bollywood films, Hollywood films, how do you get your movie to more customers? The answer is My Movies Africa. My Movies Africa is a proprietary, proudly Kenyan digital cinema extension that brings movies, new releases, and classics directly to your mobile phone, your tablet, your laptop, smart TV, set-top box for 100 to 200 shillings rental for 48 hours, or 400 to 800 shillings own for life purchase. You pay once, you own it for life. So my name is Mike Strano. I'm the co-founder and Business Development and Regulatory Affairs Director.
And my name is William Musheru. I'm the Technical Director and one of 5 shareholders of the company.
My name is Trushna Buddev Patel. I am the co-founder and content director for My Movies Africa.
Myself, I don't know much on film and media industry. I wouldn't be able to be of much help beyond the money. I don't believe I'm the best lion to help you out on this, so I'm out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I launched an app, Energy Play app, a month ago.
It's really difficult to get those numbers. When I asked around the office as to how many people have Netflix or Showmax, very, very few people have Showmax. I just feel with the offering that the big boys have, when they pivot, if you do well, I think it'll be difficult to compete with them. But something that's a reality check and something to really think about. So I'm going to say I'm out. I wish you the best, and I hope you find the right strategy for you. And for that, thanks, man.
So I'm going to say I'm out, but I will, Mike, look for me. I've heard you talk about it before, so I'm glad that you're here and that you're going this far. So I see a lot of opportunities. So from an investment perspective, for the same reasons my colleagues have said, I'm out.
Unfortunately, My Movies Africa come out of the den without a handshake or a deal, but with important feedback and promise of support.
I think it's always good to get customer feedback. So we've taken the builds positively, but there's some work to be done in terms of sensitizing the market.
Lion's Den, powered by KCB Bank.
There we go. Very interesting. And I think that's something.
Okay, I just want. I mean, this. We lost Mark and Agnes.
Yeah, they'll come back on at some point. I think maybe just network, the usual. But yeah, quite interesting. One of the things that you learn in business is not every time you get things your way. You ask for finances, doesn't happen. You go, you go to seek various tender. You tender for jobs, doesn't happen. Let's talk about resilience. We've lost Waweru, but tell us, Trishna, how did it feel when none of the lions bought into your idea, and how did that make you stronger moving forward?
First of all, it was, an exciting experience to be selected. That was a feat on its own, given that, we are a startup, they showed interest. It was disheartening, obviously, because you go with a lot of expectations and having feedback. The immediate reaction is, yes, you get disappointed. But then you realize that, our expectations from the panel were purely from a monetary aspect, which is not really what this VOD startup needs. It needs expertise as well. So as we got out of that pitch, what we learned is we need to get strategic partnership that is not only financial, but it is also from an expertise perspective. So that's one thing we learned that we have applied over time. And the second thing also is we learned from their comments, we realized there are certain areas that we may have overlooked. We are a startup, it's a learning curve where there isn't adequate data in this market as well. So we learned a lot of important, valuable lessons from there. And I have to be honest, this was last year in July. The episode aired in September. By the time it did air, we got a lot of publicity and PR as well. And from there, we have actually had some investment propositions that we are currently exploring. COVID has not been all bad. With the digital platforms, it's been a different scenario. The demographics of viewing have shifted because of people sitting at home. And suddenly there has been more interest on our VOD app. And we are starting to partner with relevant professionals that are actually going to take this app not just financially forward, but also from an expertise and networking, which is also very key. So overall, yes, we had a 30 minutes of gloom. We sulked, but we got out of it. The learning lessons were more, and to get a pat on the back to say, hey, you tried. A lot of people don't even try this. This is petrifying to go in front of a camera, spend a day and rehearse over and over again, and then be able to manage to fully present your pitch, and it goes successful, at least from sending our message through across to the panel. It's just that they are also in a business that doesn't synergize with what we were offering, and so maybe putting in that kind of money may not have been sensible for them. But there are other people out there who are, which we can see. So it's not all lost, I would say.
Mark and Agnes, what about you? How do you get out of bed when somebody has told you, we don't feel like working with you, or we don't want to do what you guys are suggesting? And, where do you get that resilience from? So I'll ask either one of you to take that.
Okay, I suppose there are many ways to look at it. One of them is if you really don't believe in your product or service that you offer, it doesn't really matter. Nobody can help you. $1 million investment can't help you. The business, from an entrepreneurial perspective, it is built on belief. So for us, we've had a strong conviction consistently over the years, which is why we have been able to transition from strength to strength into a more defined business model. And one of the tools that we found out early enough that is actually indispensable, it just informs you and gives you a lot of confidence, is a financial prudence. We are big on financial prudence. I think our profit margin is around 45%. It's very good. It's above the bottom line, the average bottom line in our industry. It's about 11%. So you can really tell that financial planning will help you, give you the muscle to be more resilient. If you're able to know where you are in finances, you can be able to understand, I really don't need this much investment. Let me wait for this and this. And therefore you're able to just plan better. So conviction and financial prudence has given us resilience.
Yeah, and you better get ready to a lot of no's. You'll get them as long as you call yourself an entrepreneur. You should be ready to receive rejection letters, regret letters, and all of that. I mean, it's no different than being in employment or searching for a job. In fact, for us entrepreneurs, we have to dig deeper, like really go deeper and have our hearts readied for that position. Like you can send out 1 million proposals and then only get back one, and even for some you have to wait out for years. There are clients whom we've had to court for like 2 years or so, up until they come and come now, so you have to be really patient. You have to have the metal, and you have to really understand your product and believe in it. That's it.
Okay, Paul and Mary, let's bring it home. I'll ask the same question in terms of how do you guys deal with basically setbacks, or in terms of being told, no, we are not interested, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I really like what Agnes has just said. You, as an entrepreneur, you have to get used to it, because it's almost a way of life. You're told no so many times that you build a thick skin, but for our business, it's hard. It's hard to. I always go to him and I'm like, oh my God, these people said no again. And he's like, Ebu, let's move on. We're wasting time for creating proposal. So I sulk. I'm usually the one who sulks, the emotional being here. But he's very level-minded, and he's able to help us to move forward, which is something I really appreciate about him. And then the other thing is just being surrounded by people. I think we've also invested heavily in relationships where we can go back and always ask, what we pitched this, where do you see the gap? Where did we go wrong? So we found that we keep on improving and being able to, when we get feedback, we're able to put it into our proposal, put it into our website or whatever it is, just to refine our thought process.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, yes, Paul.
I was gonna say, also looking at how our business runs, we've always targeted big corporates and big businesses. And I think the challenge in the last 1 year has been, how do you target even the small ones? How do you target SMEs? You have a product for an SME. How do you, or for a startup? And I think that took us back to the drawing board, saying, okay, we always think PR is for the big corporates, but it's actually for everyone, because everyone needs to be seen, everyone needs to be heard. And even if you're a startup, you need to be known at what you're doing and what product you're bringing to the market. So I think that also has enabled us to go back and say, okay, how do we create a range of products so that then we have a diverse range of clients, which is something we're working on currently.
Fantastic. I love all your answers, absolutely. And I think a lot of people have actually picked up a lot of that, even if they're not working as business couples, business as a general rule. And that's lovely advice you've actually all given. This, of course, is Great Leadership Live. Happy to say it's episode 10, and for the first time ever, we have 6 talking heads or 3 couples. I believe there's another video we have, Mato. And I'm sure he's muted himself.
Yeah.
He has, hasn't he?
You'd
imagine. He's muted himself, hasn't he?
Oh, wow.
We're talking about you behind your back, but you can see us.
Is there music in this?
Yeah, so maybe Paul and Mary can explain what they've just seen, what we've just seen.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you. This is it brings tears to my eyes every time I watch that clip. We got a project. One of our biggest projects that Brandspark was involved in was a USAID-funded project to help us to increase the amount of time that women news on women gets played on Kenyan media. And it was for a project called Half the Sky. And so we came up with, which means women hold up half the sky. So I am very passionate about social impact initiatives, and especially those that are women-led. And we were able to just bring the team together to bring the project to life, which it actually helped us to convince all media houses to run more content that is positive news about women. We went to KTN, KBC, NTV, and we gave them over 15 clips because they said, oh, we don't have news that tells stories about women. So we ran this campaign, and we gathered all the producers we know, and we gathered all the CSIs, all the NGOs who focus on women-led initiatives regarding education, gender-based violence, anything to do with health, maternal health. All those people, we put their stories into 5-minute clips, and then we sent them to the media houses, and we partnered with them to increase the number of stories that are aired about women in this country. So we're very proud of that, and it really helped us to see the whole narrative about how women are, the stories about women on media, how few they are, and how negatively they're always portrayed. And so we're really grateful to have been part of that initiative that was, flipping the narrative.
Yeah, I think and because it came from a book, it was very interesting to see how we could make it work in a Kenyan context. Because then the book was written, but they were running a similar project in India, and some of the things they were doing there would not work here. And so we had to figure out where is our challenge here, how do we solve that challenge? And our challenge was with media stations, so it was easy to convince them and tell them, let's give you the content to actually run positive content, and also highlight the different women who are doing different wonderful things in the community, but no one ever tells their story. So we were able to actually tell their stories.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much, Paul and Mary. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
No, I was going to say that. So what that made us understand is that, first of all, we had to fight for this story to be told in this way, because USAID projects are usually, this directive from New York and headquarters that says this is how you're going to run the campaign, and this is the kind of feedback we're looking for. But we really fought hard and were able to tell them our market is different, and we want to be able to be in charge of how this narrative is portrayed in this market. So that's one of the things that we picked up as a value, that we're very vocal about our own country and how we want our narratives told, our stories told. And we're very patriotic as well, because, they always come across as if they're Messiah syndrome, this USA funded project. They're always like, oh, you must make it look like, we saved you. And we're like, we're not playing any content that has white people in it. So we were very happy to be. We always come alongside our clients as partners and as problem solvers, not errand people.
Okay. Right. My producer has just told me we've got about 4 minutes left. So I'd like to start trying to wind this up. I'm going to start with Jayesh and Trishna and ask a question. And this is relevant. Okay, I know there's a lot of things that go very well in business as couples, as you've showed us and you've actually explained to us. But I'd like to know, are there examples you have when personal and professional relationships have actually collided? Yeah. And okay, what was the result, or how did you deal with that? I know it's been sort of asked before in terms of mediators and things, but I don't think we've had any specific examples of when you had a personal and professional collision in terms of that relationship.
I think we had one. We had a partnership with the Tanzanian running the Junction Cinema, and when the money is made, or when you start seeing the money, is when the conflicts happen, and we got into a disagreement with the partner because he was not willing to share the profits. The challenge there was that although he was a business partner, he was also our client as a distributor, and because he owned more cinemas in other parts of the region. We were really torn apart whether to proceed with a legal battle and who's right, who's wrong. A lot of a lot of mudslinging happens, when things go south. And our relationship at that point, was really strained because there's disagreements happening. And so, but the one thing is that obviously there was love that, that had to overcome. So we had the differences. Our family was integral in trying to make us see the sense that there's more to it than this partnership. You know what? If it has gone south and he doesn't want to spare the money, our legal system is whack. We're not going to get much out of this. We made a conscious decision. Let's walk out. Let's walk out of it.
Okay.
It's money. You know what? If it wasn't ours, it was never going to be. So let's look forward and see how we can work this out. And that immediately solved the problem. But like I said, we had that strength within the family to make us see the sense. So it does happen.
Okay, Jayesh, do you want to add anything?
No, she's right. You see there. There we go.
Yeah, you're proving exactly what you talked about earlier.
But I think you got to weigh the pros and cons. Is it worth fighting over? It is actually worth fighting over, but for how long is the question?
At what cost?
At what cost? So I think you can have an argument, put your points forward, but don't drag it too long. As couples, I think you try and resolve it before you go to sleep. So it's not the next morning. I think that's what we did, and that's what we've been doing. That let's resolve it and find a way out. Otherwise, it will affect everything else. It's a domino effect.
No problem. Mark and Agnes, the same question. Do you have examples of when personal and professional relationships have actually collided? Mark, Agnes? Okay, shall we shift to...
Yeah.
Should we shift to Paul and Mary? I'll just ask, where have you had a problem where personal and professional relationships were actually collided?
Wow. Okay, so there are quite a number, and especially where either the job was a job brought in by a friend, and then somewhere down the road you have a disagreement, or it doesn't turn out, like you're pitching and it was a done deal, and then it stops being a done deal. And so, of course, there's always an issue of, hey, I mean, you told us this thing was a done deal, but it wasn't. How do you then resolve that so that to keep the friendship? So I think that has happened quite a bit, but us guys usually always look at it from the perspective of, yes, it like what Krishna has said about the fact that yes, you could draw it out for a very long period of time, but at the end of the day, I mean, if the money was meant to be yours and the job was meant to be yours, it was gonna come. So I think sometimes there's benefit in resolving it quickly and saying, okay, this deal is not happening, how things are going, I don't see it working out. So let's turn our attention somewhere else. If it ever picks up, we'll still be here, but let's put our attention somewhere else. And so a lot of those, especially when jobs are referred to by family and friends, and they go wrong, sometimes they don't really well on it. Sometimes you say, we tried our best, it didn't work out. Let's move on to the next.
Move on.
Yeah.
Okay, Mary, do you want to put anything on that?
Yeah, we've had so many near misses. I don't know if I can call them that. I recall even our first time we tried business, we didn't work out with our initial company, so we had to move on from that. The second time, again, before we were 4 couples, and then 2 of them left. Two couples, then the one couple left. So it's been both at a very personal level, where our friends have been our business partners, and then they are no longer our business partners. And just picking back up the pieces and trying to move on with the vision. I mean, it destabilizes you, to be honest. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Paul and Mary. Do we have Mark and Agnes on? Yeah, guys, you're going to bring it home in terms of, have you had issues where personal and professionalism has actually come to a head? They've collided.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say my wife she will probably speak on another level of the same, but I think there has been an overlap of a service that you may offer to somebody who is your relative, so to speak. And you can see the overlap there. It's a personal relationship, but you're also transacting. So it becomes challenging, and we've had to really, over the years, we've developed internal controls that help us deal with such scenarios. We've defined our business properly so that when we are dealing, let's say, for example, with our relatives or external relationships that may be close to us, maybe a close friend, they see us as business people in that particular scenario, transaction, and not merely as your relative. So we internal controls have helped us a lot to address that.
Yeah. And even like proper documentation, some people, they may just take you for a ride. Like if you don't like bombard them with an invoice or something like that, they may just chukulia you as a cow person. So when Mark when Mark started drawing some of those contracts, drawing up legal documentation that will actually tie some of my relatives, some of my friends, some of his friends to a legal document, I mean, that really worked well for us, because I'd always get into problems with, now they're not paying, what should I do? Should I call them for money? I mean, it's your money, but you're like, now how will they think of me? And you don't want to overstep. It's a bit touchy, but then it's still business. You still have to make money. So I think propping up yourself in a front where it's now the papers are more talking. I mean, they're talking for you. Like when I issue you with a sales order or something, you know, it's up to you now to come up and also pay up your dues. I don't have to put it in your face every other day. I mean, you just connect the two and you'll know, this is Aggie business face and there's an Aggie friend or there's an Aggie cousin, sister, or aunt, niece, wherever. So
Right.
that has really helped us. But of course, we had a lot of trouble.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Agnes. Right. There's something we've been having on the side chat with our guests. Martin, I know we're running slightly, but I figured if we have 3 guests and we usually do an hour, I reckon with 6 guests, we can shoot over Kidogo. This is Great Leadership Live. We do that. Okay, fine. We've had Mark and Agnes, Paul and Mary, Jayesh and Trishna in studio. We finished the business side of things. So let's have a bit of fun. And I'm just going to ask each couple, not all the same questions at the same time. I'm just going to go around. I'm going to start with Jayesh and Trishna and ask this very quick question. Who is more likely to start an argument? She is. Okay.
Yeah.
Cheers. And then I'd like to ask you definitely. Okay, fine. I'd like to ask Paul and Mary, who's likely to finish an argument?
Me. Finish. You start all our arguments.
I think I come to a conclusion.
Oh God. We can't even agree on this.
Okay. Mark and Agnes, between the two of you, who's clumsier?
Me. I'll definitely rat myself out. I'm more clumsy.
You're happy to say that without any reservation whatsoever?
None whatsoever. He's so perfect with everything.
Oh wow.
Okay, so I'll go back to Jayesh and Trishna. Who's funnier?
Me, definitely.
I'm the serious one.
Jayesh, you're the funnier. You see, you're making a laugh already. Well done.
I have to break the tension, yes.
Yes.
Paul and Mary, who's chattier?
Mary.
For sure.
Depending all the time.
If we're talking about cars and golf, who's chatting more?
Right.
Everything else.
Okay, I've got another couple of. I want to ask Mark and Agnes, who is more stubborn?
Mark.
Mark is more stubborn.
50-50.
Yeah, 50-50. It depends on whatever we are talking about. So it's ish.
Okay. Jayesh and Trishna, there's only two more questions I need to ask. Jayesh and Trishna, who's a better dancer?
Yes.
When he's drunk.
Yes. After a few drinks, I take over the stage.
No, after a few drinks, he thinks he's a better dancer.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter, right?
You know, after a few drinks, I really don't care what people think. So, according to me, yeah, I am the man.
He's Michael Jackson then.
Yes.
Okay, 2 more questions to two last couples. I'm gonna ask Mark and Agnes, who is more organized?
Oh, we
50-50 again.
I'm more organized.
This is not who wants to be a millionaire. You can't do 50-50. Ask a family friend.
70-30.
At the home.
70-30.
In the home, she's organized. In the business, I'm more organized.
Okay, that's a safe answer. I like that. And last but not least, Paul and Mary, who would last longer on a desert island?
Him.
I think
as long as it's a golf course.
He would last because he would know how to use the, I don't even know, the compass. Yeah, and he retains a lot of information. So he'd remember how he watched a video that showed him how to survive in a desert island.
I agree.
Probably a video that was distributed by Jayesh and Trishna, by the way.
Yeah.
Right, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure having you guys as our guests. It's been so much fun, and I've picked up a lot of stuff as well, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers have as well. So mine is just to say thank you so much for being our guest. We hope to have you back soon. We always threaten to have guests back. Martin, I think we need to start not recycling, but then getting to where they now kind of stories.
That's a must. That's a must. We have to do some follow-up stories. We've run out of time, but I think, again, as you said, this is the first time we have 6 people on the show as opposed to 3 guests. Maybe very quickly I can show some pictures, and you can talk us through what we are seeing. I will allow 2 minutes for Paul, 2 minutes for Mark, and I think we're just trying to play a balancing act over here. So we've seen Trishna in Lion's Den. Let's now see what. Let me start with Paul and Mary, and you can tell us what we are seeing. Okay. Just walk us through the pictures, and then and we'll do the same. We'll do the same for Mark. And here we go. Okay, the floor is yours. What's happening here?
Okay, so this was the launch of Sandbox, and Sandbox is an SME growth hub. And what it does is it brings around about 22 different professionals under one roof. And we are very glad to be part of it. And so what happens is if you come to the SME hub, you will find any kind of professional you're looking for at the place. So this is a photo of one of our clients, BioOil, and we were doing a campaign on holiday hacks for skincare, spa in Hurlingham, and to show people how you can actually use BioOil over the holiday season. A lot of people go to Mombasa and they get very, yeah. This is me and my there's something we actually do in church for married couples in Doha. So that was a photo of that, yeah. And the next picture is for the lorries. So we went for the lorries last year in South Africa in Durban, and we said we have to go and see what happens. And the lorries is an advertising conference, yeah.
Yeah, no, I went to Ghana just to expand my knowledge on how communication is done across the planet, across Africa especially. Yeah. So this is a conference we were attending at University of Ghana. Yeah, this is us traveling.
Going to the lorries. We actually went down by bus and came back by bus.
Yeah.
It was 10 to 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are other things we do.
We love traveling, so yeah, that's us having fun. Have a fun life.
Cool.
All right.
And then Mary can talk about this one.
Okay, so like we had said, we're trying to see how just to re-engineer our business to be able to offer services to SMEs. So this is something we're going to be sharing. If anybody is interested in growing their bottom line, we can help them to spotlight their business. We're actually offering 30 to 45 minute sessions with us for free to discuss how you can do that. Please email me on mary.gitari@brandspark.co.ke. I hope the email will be somewhere. And we're happy to see how we can help Africa's brands to be seen, to be known, to be heard. So karibuni.
Okay, lovely. Let's now see some interesting pics from Mark and Agnes. Again, you'll walk us through the pictures.
Well, this is a pullout from the Twinkle magazine in the Sunday Standard, Generation Next. We usually have this column. You can read it every Sunday. It's called Art Attack. And it's part of content creation. This is a pullout from True Love magazine.
Yeah, Maize issue.
Maize issue. This
is a setup at the Hub Karen, where we used to hold engagement sessions way back in 2018. This is a setup at Green Park Sundowner, also way back then. Oh, this is lovely. This is a party at Wadidegla Clubs Africa, the one at Runda. We used to hold engagement sessions for them. I think this was one of their fun days. Oh, this is wow, this was Easter's party at 2018 Muthaiga Country Club. And this was our stand at the Hub Karen, craft your heart out. That was our line. Tagline. This is one of the things we had made for the Easter party at Muthaiga Country Club. Sorry, I almost said MCC. This is a minion, one of our projects which we made earlier on. Some of the things we usually teach kids. So it's a pen holder, minion themed. This is me in one of my shows on K24, where I usually host the crafting segment. But now they're just doing repeats. No new episodes. Oh, nice. This is one of the parties. It was a Mickey Mouse party at Muthaiga Country Club. So we did the decor, we provided the entertainment, bouncing castles, mascots, face painting, crafting, everything Mickey Mouse themed. It was nice. Nice. This is a graduation card in one of our graduation card lines.
Yeah.
An all themed, wise as an all.
Wow.
So this was a goodbye card to one of my friends who was leaving. So he had me make that. So a themed card.
I think that's it. And that's it. So you've seen some of the work that Mark and Agnes do. You have seen the work that Paul and Mary do. And I think now we're also very clear on Jayesh and Trishna.
And they're all at MCC, yeah? Not bad.
Yeah.
But do you say? So I just want to get them. Okay, we might as well make this show an hour now. I just want to get parting shots in terms of what advice you want to give to people who might want to come, who want to take on who are looking at their wives right now and say, could really do some business with you. Not in a naughty way. Not in a naughty way, but you know. So I'm going to start with Jayesh and Trishna. What is your parting shot in terms of what experience you've had so far?
Ups and downs, rocky roads, but a lot of fun. Fun part of our business is we travel together. We go to expos every year. We tend to travel to a couple of countries as part of the fancy job, the fun part of it. And when we get to do that together, we have a little child, so you know it gives us our me time together. It's having to work together and understand each other is the best part. I have a partner whom I don't need to consult every little step of the way, and it helps me make the decisions. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. If they're right, we celebrate. If they're wrong, we sulk together and we move on. So it's been an amazing journey, and we continue to grow the business in different lines. We are the solo or duo owners of Crimson Multimedia. Also, the new cinema, motion cinema, it's a project that we are testing. We've gone into a mass market location in Donholm at the Greenspan Mall. We don't know how it's going to work out. It unfortunately opened and closed before we could even test what it could in terms of limits. But you know what? We pick up our sticks once we launch and once we reopen, and we test that out. Also, My Movies Africa, we're jointly in that. We're 5 directors, of which I handle content and Jay handles the marketing and some of the creativity. We have 3 other shareholders. Mike Strano, who's been in the industry and is a wealth of knowledge that not just we all, we share our notes, so we synergize and kind of complement each other's businesses. Michelle Lisboa is a strength of help in all this. So, as we are growing forward, we're learning. Today's session also, I've met new people. I've met couples that are in different businesses. It's so amazing to know that and try and learn from them as well. So absolutely appreciative. And we look forward to carrying on with this business. We're not parting ways in that or have any thoughts in mind, even though nothing is binding us. But it's our love and our friendship more than anything else that pushes us through forward.
Fantastic. Mark and Agnes, what's your parting shot?
Well, I'd say, Waweru, I'm conflicted because there's a small question that informs my parting shot. I'd say I'd like to see more African and Kenyans embrace entrepreneurship and at the family level. It is a blessing. And what I'd add is you manage small so that you can grow big. You don't wait to grow big so that you can now begin thinking about KRA. It's when you're beginning thinking about when investors are wondering. So the law of the lead applies.
Yeah.
You really have to push yourself. And it's a problem for us as Africans because we love unstructured things. You have a shop that is operating, it is family owned, and yet Kanjo akikuja wanafunga. What's the problem? It is very easy for you to legalize that business and continue increasing sales when others are closed. So it's an African mindset that must be surmounted. We need to manage small to grow big. We don't need to ijua kali inatumiza sana. It's the reason why investors are averse.
Wow. I have something to say.
Sure.
As a parting shot, I just want to reiterate that as much as we're doing business together, we still have to have our act together as first a couple before we begin to do any other thing together. So it's not so much about our synergy in business, but our team in terms of our personal lives and whatever we bring into the fore. So it's not how good or how well you run your business. It's the unity that you're able to forge as a couple first. That is that's the wheel that turns everything. If you're not able to cooperate or work as a team with your partner, you're not able to do anything. And I won't forget to mention that always put God first. I can't get tired of that. I'll never grow weary of that. I mean, he should be at the top of everything that you set your heart on doing. And yeah, I mean, for me, it's just put God first and don't forget yourself in between doing business. First, it's you and your partner, not you, the business, and the partner. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Right. Who was asked the question about who's more talkative? Or who's chattier?
He never stops. When you start, he never stops.
Okay, Agnes, you're saying that you just finish up, then I want to move to Paul and Mary. They gave us a parting shot.
When you take the mic, you don't drop it before you first tell other people how they can find you and all that. Because I didn't think we mentioned that you can subscribe to our blog, you can follow us on YouTube, and we have a running paper column on Sunday Standard every Sunday. If you don't want to buy the print copy, you can always check out the digital versions. They always have that ready. We're also doing something with Textbook Center. So every Saturday, there's something going on for the kiddos from 10 a.m. Thank you.
Paul and Mary.
Okay.
Let's bring it home. Yeah, parting shots.
I've been asked to give the closing remarks. So for me, we've always had our friendship, which we used to talk about business all the time, and he's an amazing entrepreneur. He sees opportunities in many places where I would remain risk averse, but I find that I'm able then to add value once he started the ball rolling. And so friendship is key. If you're going to look at your wife and say we could do some business together, you have to be friends first. You have to esteem the other person highly, because when you look at them as a resource, then they become that. I really believe that perception is reality. So because I need him so much in my life, I find that he feels those areas that I'm always constantly dropping the ball. And so when we are making a presentation together, or we are coming out into the world, we look so, like we have our A game on, and it's because there's lots of things that have happened in the background. For example, he's usually very good with the kids, and it gives me time to do makeup. he's very punctual, and I am not a morning person, and so he would always wake up 2 to 3 hours before time and give me enough time to drag myself out. So if I look good, he looks good. And then areas where I'm really good, like putting presentations together, pitching and bringing business home, all that comes back to the two of us. So I'm really encouraging people who are thinking about running business together, please go out, do it, but be friends, esteem each other highly, and cover each other's backs. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. I salute all of you. It's been a pleasure having you. I know I've said that so many times, but it's been, and it's not that you guys I've always enjoyed. I always keep learning from guest to guest to guest, and this has been a really interesting and eye-opening session. This has been Great Leadership Live. We've had a very interesting and diverse set of guests, from branding to film industry to card and kids fun. I don't know how to just, okay, there's many things we've covered. So yeah, it's been fun. I'd like to say thank you, guys. Hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon. Martin, I'll leave it for you to take away.
The thing is, Waweru and guests, you have nothing to say after you've listened to this ones. As in, I'm still trying to absorb what I've had. I admittedly also, my business, the production company behind this this show, Dreamcatcher Productions, is a couple-led business. At least I've had the honor and pleasure to work with Paul many years ago. I think it's over 10 years, reminding me. Yeah. So I've also been with Trishna and Jayesh in the film space. I'm meeting Mark and Agnes for the first time, and I hope it's not the last time, but it's amazing listening to all your stories, because first of all, I can relate, and I'm sure many watching this show who are in similar situations can also relate, because everything that we've talked about, it's very tangible. I just ran through some of the comments I've had tonight, and it's amazing. I mean, first of all, Waweru, while you are signing off, you talked about you've learned a lot on this show. And I'll just tell you a Chinese proverb that says, learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. We always have a little quote going around. So that's a Chinese proverb, and I wonder why the Chinese are very successful in whatever they're doing. But I guess they figure out some things. The other thing I've learned from tonight is trust. Listening, none of you have a business contract amongst you. It's all based on mutual trust. I think same applies for me here, for us rather. Support for each other, very important in any couple-led business. We just had talk of complementing each other, covering each other's parts and stuff like that, and understanding each one's forte, yeah, and then using it to mutual benefit. There's another quote: if she hurts, I hurt, and vice versa. Very interesting perspective. Right and wrong decisions, that will always be there. There's always mistakes is part of the journey, be it in business, be it in marriage, be it in life. I really like that. And building internal controls, dealing with relatives, I think that's one area really. Business, friends and relatives, and listening to all of you, each one has been sort of let down by someone you trusted most or some relative or the other. Very important in business, what we do with time, be it relatives. Do you employ relatives? I wanted to ask this question. And does any of you have a relative from either side working in your company?
Yes.
How is that? How's it dealing with that?
Dealing with relatives. Well, I have my dad with me. I mentioned that earlier.
Okay.
And,
let's separate the finance thing, because I don't think you can tell your dad you're fired. But I'm talking of more the other way around. So let me rephrase the question. Do you have any relatives, not in finance or in directorship, but more of someone who will come in the office and you have to actually tell them, why are you late? Why have you dropped the ball? Can you fire your brother? Can you fire your sister, your cousin? That sort of relative, and that sort of engagement.
I think our accountant is actually our cousin.
Yes.
That has amazingly worked very well. She keeps us all in check. She's very precise. She's able to help us walk the roads Mark was talking about, the Kiari road, and dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's. So that has worked absolutely very well. But she's also very hardworking, and she's always like, no, you guys have to do more. So we really like having that person in our business, so because they're able to then push us ahead.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we're making money, but you don't have a lot more coming in. Can you go out and look for new clients?
I think maybe what I think is the person has to be fit for the job in the first place.
Yes.
You see, because this lady who does for us admin and finance, she's already trained in admin and finance.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to bring somebody who's a relative just to be part of the business and you've not defined their specific job description, then it becomes very difficult.
Yeah.
But because she's doing her job, then everything applies. If the reporting times are there, the leave days, so everything then becomes, she's just another employee who happens to be family. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, well said. So I think that's those are my few words to close the show. It's been nice. Thank you, Jayesh and Trishna, Mark and Agnes, Paul and Mary, and we hope to see you back again. As Waweru said, we'll have follow-up shows and bring our guests back on. I wish you all the best in your businesses. I think we've learned so much, and so have our viewers. I'll share the links of this show so that you can keep circulating. It stays online. And commission also some pictures we put on our Facebook post, and that's it. So to all those who are viewing us from whatever part of the world, we say thank you. Keep watching, following, subscribe. I urge you to subscribe, and let's keep the great leadership talk going. Thank you, and good night from Nairobi, Kenya.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.